Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and you are watching a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition one-shot set in the dark world of Dragongrin. If you are interested in Dragongrin, what it entails, what sorts of horrible things you can find there, there's a link in the description to a Kickstarter that we're currently doing through Absolute Tabletop. It's called A Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin, and it is a campaign setting and a world-building toolkit for dark fantasy worlds. So if you're watching this game and you see stuff that looks cool that might interest you, definitely check it out and consider backing us. We have 11 days to go, I believe, and we're blowing through some stretch goals. So it's been pretty awesome. I'm going to allow these guys to introduce themselves and also introduce their characters, and then we're just going to roll right into it and have some fun. So we'll go from my left to right and start with Barker.
Hey, everybody. My name is Barker, and I am excited to be working on the project, on Tim's project of Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin, and very excited to see the Kickstarter do so well. The stretch goals that Matt mentioned that we have left are awesome and massive, so head on over and check it out. Today, I am playing Ingo of Varnholm, third level ranger of the human variety, and I'm really excited to play in Matt's first Dragongrin game. So thanks for running it, Matt, and thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Mr. Jim Moreno, for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, Jim, go ahead and introduce yourself and your character.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Moreno. I been playing Dungeons & Dragons since 1980. Been writing about it here since about 2003. Freelance journalist. I currently write for Geek Sundry. You've probably seen some of my D&D material on there. This is my first streamed game. I've been playing online games for 5-6 years or so, probably longer. Very excited, honored, and a privilege it is to be playing here for Dragongrin. These guys, I've known these guys now for probably over a year. When I found out and wrote about Tabletop Terrors and Absolute Tabletop and those guys. Yeah, looking to get some rolling going.
Absolutely. It is high time that we rolled some dice together, Jim, so I'm very happy to have you. All right, and last but certainly not least, the co-creator of Dragongrin, Tim Kearney.
So I am Tim Kearney. I am half of Tabletop Terrors. I am 1/4 of Absolute Tabletop. And this is kind of surreal for me because my first actual campaign that I consider my first real campaign was under Matt Click. It was the Provokers. And so having this come full circle from playing in a one-shot that turned into the Provokers to now having Matt run a game in a world that I helped to create is pretty awesome. And so I am playing Virtus, the Tomeheart, which is one of the new races in A Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin. I am playing a warlock with something that is currently locked up in a stretch goal. We have not unlocked this patron yet, but I am playing a patron, Heart of the Tome, which is essentially this huge sentient construct that lives in a super dungeon named Deep Vault, and that is my patron. And so hopefully we'll unlock that stretch goal so everyone can play a Heart of the Tome warlock.
If we unlock it during the game, Tim gets inspiration. We'll see. Another thing of note is we're going to be using Roll20 tonight for some of the map and mini stuff. I have not used Roll20 since my very first online game that I ran here on the channel, a game by the name of Sundered Throne. I have not used Roll20 since then, and I'm excited to use it tonight. So I will be sharing my screen so the viewers can partake in that as well when we need to. Guys, is there anything else that you want to say or any questions? Oh, Jim has something.
Yes, I did forget to mention I am role-playing tonight a Wood Elf Ranger by the name of Trinsic U. If any of you happen to be long-time Ultima or Ultima Online players, you'll recognize where that name comes from. U is my clan name because that's the forest that we lived in. Trinsic was one of the old cities that exists down there, and this is one of my ways that I pay homage to my role-playing roots. So,
very nice. Got the Ultima deep dive in there. I love it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Again, if you're watching this game and if you see something you think is cool, check out the Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin Kickstarter. All right, here we go. Willis is dead. Of that, you three are fairly certain. He took a Marrow's crossbow bolt in the shoulder, and the wound festered and stank as the days went on, as your journey took you across the Sphere Mountains and into the region of Ennis. You all kept offering to take that arm, to spare his life, but he refused. Swinging a sword was, after all, the only thing that Willis was ever any good at. That's probably the reason why he enlisted in the Marrow as a boy, and it's why, as a man, he deserted their ranks. The thing, the creature hunting you, it took Willis 2 nights back. He started to lag behind. He said he needed a moment to rest. But you all knew what he meant. He said, "I just need a moment." What he meant was, "Let me die." You all remember the sweat shining on his pallid, haggard face, the resolute expression as he slumped against the tree, the smell of death coming from his arm. The rot in that wound had spread far too much for you to help him. It was strange. You assumed that you'd hear screams, rending flesh, twigs snapping, bushes breaking as Willis was dragged wailing into the darkness. But there was nothing. Willis was gone, taken by the thing, and he left only silence. Now it's just you three. None of you dare speak the thought aloud, but you're certain you won't reach the Copper Sun in time. The Copper Sun, that city, that bastion, that last refuge. There you might find safety, you might find sanctuary, but it's still days out. And you all have the creeping suspicion that the thing is just toying with you now. It's just playing with its food. So the three of you are in the region of Ennis, and Ennis is in central Dragongrin. It's bordered on the eastern side by the Sphere Mountains, and over those mountains lies the land of Grin, where the dismembered lord himself reigns. But his shadow extends into Ennis, and you know that you are not safe. Ennis is a swampy region. It didn't used to be, but it is now. Because the orcs who rule here, the orcs that call themselves the Mog Tarak, they have begun magically terraforming this place. You're not sure how it works. You don't understand how they're doing it, but they are turning this land into a expansive bog. The ground is unstable beneath you. Sinkholes that open up suddenly are far too commonplace. The land itself is being reshaped, and the negative side effects are very clear. This place smells like a swamp. The air is hot, it's humid, everything smells of mud and mildew and rot. And you know that orcs are plentiful here. It's midday. The sun is high in the sky as it filters through the trees of the bog that you're currently walking through. As you walk, your stomach's rumbling, realizing you have no rations left. Vertus and Trinsic, the two of you both hear shouting in the distance, a little too close for comfort. Deep guttural voices shouting and laughing. And then you hear a clash of steel. There's some sort of fight happening nearby. We'll start with you, Vertus. What do you do as you hear these sounds in the marshlands of Ennis?
Virtus would cock his head, sort of inquisitively, showing no emotion, but looking at his companions and then looking ahead. It sounds like steel. A skirmish, to be sure. Trying his best to sound human, mimicking a rhythm that he thinks he's heard the others speak in.
And Trinsic, you would be able to confirm this as well. You have also picked up on these sounds kind of coming through the trees and the shrubbery of this swamp. Oh, it looks like you're muted, Jim. Can't hear you.
As soon as I heard those sounds, as soon as I heard them, we all go down into a crouch position, spread out about 5-10 meters apart. Give a listen. Try to pinpoint a better vector of where the sounds are coming from.
Perfect. Go ahead and give me a perception check if you would.
First roll was a natural 20.
Nat 20. That's a good way. That's a good way to start the game off.
I'll take that as a good start.
Yeah, no kidding. So not only can you tell the direction that the voices are coming from, you can also tell about how far away they are, which is about 80 feet or so. You can also tell that they are orcish voices. You understand the language that they're speaking, and the sort of like low quality of these voices. But you do also hear a third voice that appears to be a human voice that is, you can't make out the words, but they sound in distress, is what you're hearing. So at least 2 orcs, if not more, and maybe 1 human.
We have a decision to make. Do we advance or do we go around?
The other thing you would sense with that natural 20 there, Trinsic, is you would smell food. Roasting meat, to be specific, and it would be undeniable. And as that smell sort of hits you, your stomach, you feel it kind of cramping up a little bit as you realize that it's been a good 24 to 36 hours since you've had anything substantial to eat.
Yeah, I haven't been able to forage much here in these swamps. As soon as we left the forests, my favorite terrain, our sustenance is beginning lower and lower, even teamed up with another fellow ranger. Food. It makes this decision much more difficult.
You see a nod coming from Ingo as he looks to you, Trinsic, and says, "Or easy."
I don't understand. Why does food make it more difficult?
Oh, you tin kettle.
We require sustenance to continue. We still have days to reach the Copper City. If we're going to make it, we'll need all the strength we can get.
Yes, your need of food. I forgot.
Well, shall we take a vote?
Ingo nods and raises his hand without any sort of question as to in favor or opposed.
I will have to agree with that vote. I and my quite empty stomach.
So the vote is to get a little closer and see what's up, try to get some food. Are the 3 of you going to attempt to approach stealthily?
Oh, Jim, I think you're muted again.
I would say absolutely. Use all the advantages we've got. We'll stay low, stay wide, prepare to flank, prepare to run.
Ingo has
Perfect.
learned a lot from this elf on their travels, and he nods and kind of steps in line.
After I see that everyone's agreed,
I was just going to say, should I stay behind as we usually do? I can be quite loud.
not too far behind. No more than 30, 40 feet. Stay within a good dash range.
Yes, I know. Wait. And Virtus lifts one of his arms. He has several. And from it, there's a sort of telescoping snap. Just and a piece of it sort of falls off into the grass. The muck, really. And it sprouts sort of tendrils, legs. And this is my imp familiar reskinned as basically a piece of my arm that has sort of fallen off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my imp familiar with them and then stay as I've been commanded about 30 or 40 feet behind. But Matt, what I'm trying to do is stay far enough behind that I wouldn't be too loud as to affect their ability to be stealthy.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I will allow that. So what I'll need from Trinsic and Ingo are stealth checks, as well as a stealth check from your familiar, if you would please, Virtus.
$26.
Damn. All right, cool. So you both rolled really well. You can I gotta share the screen here so people can see the map. 1 second.
Oh, dude, this is awesome.
So
And
awesome.
I think I successfully moved you guys over. Can you guys can see the new map and everything?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
On it.
cool. So so the two rangers, you guys can close within about 30 feet of this group of enemies. So about to this this tree right here. You can go ahead and move yourselves there if you'd like. And then I can drop a little token for your familiar here if you want, Tim. Let's see, what do I have? Oh, this here.
That is the best.
You're going to use a little jump pod. There you go. I'm going to give you control of it. There we go. Okay, cool. You should be able to move that little guy. And then did the permissions carry over? Oh, they sure did. Awesome. All right, so you two rangers can move yourselves if you'd like up near this tree if you want to get that close to get a good vantage on these guys.
Ingo, what is your weaponry?
Ingo brandishes his bow from his back, revealing the twin short swords that stand sheathed attached to his back. He looks to you quite often nowadays, Trinsic. He follows your lead. You seem to be a natural leader, and he actually kind of has drawn his bow even more elf-like nowadays than he used to. But he dons his bow, his long bow, and he looks to move forward towards the tree if you were to as well. It's probably a good vantage point.
Yep, I identify the tree. Spread out. We move forward. I'm going to take the left. If I can move my token here. There we go. All right, so I will take the left. Ingo.
Yep, Ingo moves forward to the right near the fallen stump.
Now, is that stump over ground? How high?
Yeah, it is over ground. It's probably like 7 or 8 feet off the ground. So standing near behind this tree would give you half cover, basically.
Excellent.
So what you guys see as you get close to this tree is you peer through the trees a little bit, and you're kind of standing on either side of this shallow river. It's not so deep where you have to swim across. It's about, calf height, basically. You can see through the trees that there are 2 orcs and 3 other creatures. One orc is sort of... Is there a way I can, ping things? Is there a way to do that? Can I, boop?
There is, I think. Let me remember. Is it control?
Alt.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Trying everything, Captain. Oh man, that would be if I could figure that out, that would be great.
I'll check the chat and Google it.
Perfect. But basically,
too long.
The first orc that you see is oh, weird! I can hear myself. That was weird. Okay. The first orc that you see is standing here on the bank, and he appears to be watching what is happening in the stream to the north. He is flanked by what appear to be 2 corpses. They are humanoid corpses dressed in rags, and they're just kind of standing there, kind of lazily sort of shambling on their feet in place. You know these to be zombies, and that would identify these orcs as orcs who are followers of Ixis, and they are necromantic magic users who routinely use zombies for labor, protection, that sort of thing. The orc in the stream is currently fighting with a lithe human man. He appears to be no more than 18 or 19 years old. He is holding a rusty short sword in a shaking hand. You see blood streaming from a few wounds that he has already taken. The orc sort of towering over him is brandishing this huge battle axe, and the orc is saying, "Come on, puny human. You had the audacity to brandish a blade in my presence. I have the right to challenge you. Now, you have the right to put up a fight." And he kind of swipes at him, and this human barely dodges out of the way of this battle axe. He appears like he's not going to be lasting very long. And also of interest to you, okay, click and hold, someone said. Oh my God, that's so awesome.
I love that you did it in the orc voice.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can ping.
Meanwhile, pings everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Right here, there is a fire with a hunk of meat roasting over it, and you can see the fat rendering out of this meat, dripping into the fire, sizzling, sending this just delicious aroma into the air. No one has seemingly no one has noticed you yet, and that is what you see.
As Trinsic is advanced forward, I will unsling my crossbow, which doesn't look like an ordinary crossbow. Think of a Stradivarius violin, small, compact, very elegantly carved, quite beautiful. I bring it up, and I will sight on the orc standing closest. I'll ping and hold. There we go. And I will motion for behind me for our construct there has quite a movement speed. I've seen him dash quite even faster than an elf can. So I want to motion him around wide right. And we will keep sighting on this party and on the events that are happening here.
Perfect. Okay, so Trinzic's taking up that position, sighting down this orc. Ingo, what are you going to do? Are you going to hold position?
Ingo's looking forward, and I don't think he has a good line of sight. How far above the enemies, these orcs, are we on this while on this path? Am I correct in assuming that it dips down? You might have already said this, but dips down kind of to where they are?
It does a little bit, yeah. It's not a substantial decline, so you have a little bit of a height advantage, but not a ton. It's not like a deep dip.
Well, I still don't think he'd be able to see too much from where he is. So he's going to look to Trinzic, and he's going to motion that he doesn't have really any visibility. And so he's going to have to move closer if he's going to be useful.
I catch eye. I know exactly what he's thinking. I will say, low, forward directly in front of me to about right here. That large rock, that boulder there. You've got some low ground where you can stay low, move forward. I will cover you.
Ingo sees the rock, he sees the boulder, and he sees the ground, the earth underneath him. And for a moment, it looks like the floorboards of the monastery where he grew up. And at the end is his master. And he knows he's supposed to sneak across the whole floor without it creaking. And that's how he will become the master ranger he was born to be. And then it switches back and it's the ground again. And I will try to sneak forward to that rock. That might require another stealth check. That's up to you, Matt.
You can keep your previous sneak check, and you can move up to that rock if you so choose. And Virtus, are you going to heed your comrade and move along the right flank there?
Yes, I'm going to attempt to. Similarly, I got a 23. This is one sneaky little imp.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so I imagine that it is just sort of skittering along, winding and crawling on vines, rocks, etc. And so I would attempt to, if you'll allow it, these trees here, would you say that they are large enough for a small imp to sort of climb and scurry into, or are those more like bushes?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. They're short trees. You can see the bigger trees are kind of the dark shapes. Those are sort of their stumps, but those are kind of short little shrubs and trees and stuff that you could absolutely climb up into and hide in.
Cool. So I'm going to take a sort of full move situation here, which would be, let's see. I'm trying to use this ruler here. Do I just drag it straight? Yeah.
Yeah, you just drag it.
Oh, dude.
I don't even
have to. Man.
Yeah, you can get there.
I love math.
I love math.
I love math. I love rulers. All right. And I will not attack. I'm essentially watching. I've got the telepathic link. So this sort of skittering arm. And in the center of the field, far, like before all of this, there's sort of just this Tome Heart standing there with his head cocked, sort of watching through his imp's eyes.
Right. That's perfect. All right. So the positions are set. These guys have not noticed you. The fight in the river, the boys, he's sort of backing up a little bit. This orc is kind of pursuing after him, just toying with him. He's intentionally missing with his axe and sort of, as the boy lunges with his sword and the orc knocks it aside and kind of shoves the boy back with his hand, just toying with him. And he says, "You will make a more useful thrall than you do in life, in death." And he kind of raises the axe over his head. You all have the jump on these guys if you want to try and ambush them. You can act out of initiative if you so wish.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to adjust target to the one in the one fighting the human there.
Perfect. And you want to take a shot?
I'm going to fire.
Go for it.
All right, here we go. That's going to be a 12, 20.
That definitely hits. Roll for damage.
And that will be, where's my, it's going to be 17, 11 damage.
Damn.
Per shot.
Very nice. Using HP. Oh, that's so nice.
So as I'm resighting there, I move target from that orc to the one that I hit. I'm going to make my trajectory go right between the orc, the undead, so that it hits this orc kind of in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm aiming for. And so the bolt's going to hopefully draw their attention directly towards in my direction.
Perfect. Okay, great. All right.
And I'm reloading.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, using a bonus action to reload. That's great. Ingo, what are you doing?
Ingo hears the bolt just fly over his shoulder and hit that orc, and then at that moment he releases the arrow on his longbow for a total of 22, which I imagine will hit.
Definitely. Are you aiming at that same orc?
Actually, just the orc that's to the north of the tree. I feel like cool. I'd be trying to aim at that far orc, but it's just like, this guy won't get out of the way.
Right.
Finish him off.
Okay.
So in total, that is 8 points of piercing damage from the arrow as it flies just to the right of the tree, starboard side, and strikes the orc.
Starboard side. This guy knows what I'm talking about. This guy plays Sea of Thieves.
I'm addicted.
The arrow flies true and strikes this orc in the back of the shoulder. It was already sort of like starting to turn around, after hearing the bolt. And as it turns, this arrow just kind of sinks into it and it sort of stumbles forward, just from the sheer kinetic energy of this arrow flying into him. Do you want to do anything else? Any movement or anything on your turn?
Nope. Also, as a bonus action, the next arrow is drawn from the quiver.
Perfect. Okay, and our construct friend Virtus.
So Virtus would look through the eyes of his imp. He would see all of these bolts, and he would just say, "Strike." And so what I'm going to do is essentially get a ball upon him. I am going to...
Absolutely.
He flew across the map. That was amazing.
I am going to sting him with this sort of tendril. And the way that this attack works is you need to make a DC 11 con save if I hit, or you are taking some poison damage. So,
okay, I just rolled a 20 on my check. So,
can I use reverse advantage on you? I call it reverse advantage.
Reverse advantage. I take away inspiration.
So that's an 18 to hit.
That definitely hits.
Okay. So then, let's see. That's 6 piercing damage.
You take him out. What the? Guys, how do you use Roll20? Okay.
Sodium nitrate?
Yeah. So that orc goes down even without taking the damage from the stinger there. So this mechanical imp just falls upon this orc who has already been struck by an arrow from Ingo, and it goes down screaming, going for its weapons as this thing begins stinging it. Both of the zombies standing near it kind of slowly turn and see the orc go down, and then look down to regard this little impish construct. Okay, we're out of surprise round, so let's go ahead and roll for some initiative here.
All right, I'm walking 12.
Okay. So we've got
Little rusty there, ain't you? Bucket of bolts.
Ingo with a 17, Vertus with a 12, enemies with the 6, and Vertus with a 4. Trinsic with 12.
As soon as that orc goes down, target down, retarget.
Enemy down. All right, so first up in the initiative out of the surprise round is Ingo. So Ingo, you see that second orc, the one that you beamed with the arrow, it goes down. The second orc is still up, as are the zombies.
He hears Trinsic's command and immediately fires at the first zombie that he sees to the right of this, the arm of Vertus, which I imagine he's seen in action a couple of times. He fires at that undead, and it doesn't look like that'll be too good. An 8.
An 8 does actually, if you're firing at a zombie, hang on. An 8 hits.
Wow.
Zombies have
Nice.
8 AC, yeah. So you just hit it.
Excellent. And for 7 points of damage, the arrow flies, probably wedges in between a couple ribs.
Yeah, and the zombie really doesn't seem to notice all that much, even though it does quite a bit of damage. It just kind of slowly turns and kind of looks down at the arrow, almost with curiosity, and then looks up at you, and you see its half-rotted jaw kind of open up as it notices you and smells flesh that can be eaten. You see that this zombie, though it was a human, is covered in orcish brands marked as the property of these orcs. Probably each orc had a zombie sort of as a attendant to them as they were traveling through Ennis.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on your turn there, Ingo?
Nope, just reloading and a little flash of fear from that undead, but nothing that'll slow him down.
Cool, perfect. Okay, Trinsic, you're up.
All right, I have resighted onto the orc there. What's the reaction from the human, this human guy there?
He is completely shocked and surprised. He definitely hasn't really caught on to what's going on yet. He's kind of stumbled back into the water. You see wounds, his wounds just bleeding, his sword clutched in his hand, but he's looking in your direction with a mixture of kind of shock and relief as these orcs are clearly being targeted here. But he's a resident of Dragongrin, so he's not sure if he's also going to be targeted here.
I will yell out, "Stay down!" And we'll retarget and refire. Hunter's marking.
Ooh, nice.
So that's going to be 17.
17 definitely hits.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so we're going to do an 8 and a 6. That's going to be 7, 11 total damage.
Go ahead and describe to me what it looks like as this orc goes down.
All right, so I had hit him in the back the first time. That was just to get his attention. I wanted him to turn and face us, focus away from the human there. I yelled at the human to get down, so as soon as that orc turned to me, I already had a headshot lined up, and I just pinged him right between the eyes.
He's dead before he hits the ground. He falls backwards into the stream, and you see his body just kind of create a makeshift dam in the middle of the stream, the water kind of collecting behind his corpse, pooling with blood.
And so before his body hits, I've reloaded, and I'm swinging over to cover Ingo.
Perfect. Yeah, and that the human, this young boy, you told him, stay down, take cover. He kind of shuffles over. He looks with a mixture of horror and glee as the orc who was, torturing him sort of goes down, and he clambers over and takes cover behind these rocks here on the edge of the stream.
I will also step up onto this branch so that I'm in full view.
Perfect.
And trying to get a bit of some height advantage also.
Yep, and you have clean now. With that, you have clean line of sight to pretty much both of those zombies if you wanted to take shots at them on your next turn.
Solid.
All right, it is bad guy's turn. This zombie here shambles forward, kind of coming up over the boulder, and is going to swipe at you, Ingo. I feel like such a modern dungeon master. I mean, I got my monster stat blocks on D&D Beyond. I got my maps on Roll20.
You got your virtual reality headset on. You're at the scene.
I'm in the Oasis right now playing D&D.
One day.
I don't know about you guys. Yeah, one day, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. So this zombie, it comes over the edge of the boulder, Ingo, and it swipes at you clumsily with what are essentially claws that are made out of the tip of his fingers. The flesh has been gnawed away from the tips of his fingers, leaving only sharpened bones. He swipes these at you, and you manage to just barely duck out of the way, avoiding their they're probably just diseased damage. The second zombie looks down at this imp creature and is going to swipe at it similarly with its hands.
All right.
But it super duper misses. I don't even need to know the AC of this thing unless it has like zombie AC. It's good.
Nope.
Okay, that was the zombies. Virtus, you're up.
So Virtus begins to trudge through the swamp. And so as he lumbers, there's no need for surprise anymore. And so, this is so great. I'm going to go ahead and go lumber into here. And as I do so, you see Virtus outstretch his left arm, the arm from which his imp fell. And he sort of begins to use the arm. So the imp wraps up and is this sort of levitating arm now, and it begins to punch the zombie as though it is still on Virtus's arm. Just, and I'm just reskinning that the imp can fly, etc. So I assume the zombie is immune to poison.
It is.
Yeah, of course it is. But that's a 13 to hit, and that would be all said. 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not bad. 7 piercing damage as this tome heart arm is levitating and essentially just like rocket elbowing this thing in the face.
Beautiful. Awesome. Sorry, I had a choking coughing attack while I was muted there. I almost died. It was super close. You guys wouldn't have known because you can't see my face.
We missed it.
Like, Matt, you're still muted.
Yep.
Man, he's been muted for 20 minutes now. What's going on?
We'll just call it.
Die doing loved.
Choking on a root beer, playing D&D.
That's right.
That's how you go.
That's how I want to go. All right, we're at the top of the initiative again with Ingo.
Ingo blocks away this undead strike of sharpened bone fingertips with his bow, and he drops his bow and pulls out his 2 short swords from along his back, and he will go to strike with the one in his right hand for a total of 16.
That definitely hits.
6 points of damage only as he hears the famous sound that he loves to hear of his Tomeheart friend on the way to the battle as he shoves his short sword into this undead.
Beautiful. All right, anything else on your turn?
Nope, that'll be it.
Okay. Trinsic, you're up.
All right. So about the time that Tomeheart walks around, I'm lightly but adeptly stepping along this tree branch here, this tree trunk. And I have switched Hunter's Mark to the second zombie in the back. And I'm going to take a shot. Ooh, I believe that's going to miss. 13.
13 hits.
Hits.
Need
Nice.
8 or better. Yep.
Okay. So then that will be 13 damage. I maxed out my D8.
Nice. That's some gnarly damage. The zombie is relentless, though. You actually tear some flesh out of its hide with that shot, but it stumbles backwards and then keeps coming forward, just barely holding on to what life it has left.
That's fine. Reload.
Beautiful. Okay, bad guy's turn. All right, this zombie is going to swing with its fists here. What's the AC on your imp there, Tim?
It's 13.
13. I may have hit. Hang on. Yep, that's a hit. Okay, roll for some damage. It's going to be 4 bludgeoning damage as this thing brings its fist down on top of your imp.
Gotcha.
How much HP does it have?
10 total.
Has what?
10 total.
10. Cool. It's not like you said N. I was like, what is this, algebra? It has N where N is.
Where N
You gotta
is.
find it, Matt. You gotta
find it. A squared plus C squared equals imp squared.
Equals imp squared. There you go. The second zombie is fixated on you, Ingo, swinging and striking your AC of 14 with its claws. Ooh, max damage. That'll be 7 damage as this thing swipes across with these jagged, bony, skeletal, sort of dagger-like claws, ripping through your armor and striking flesh. Virtus, you're up.
So, as Virtus is walking by, he just like reaches out without turning and looking at the zombie, essentially trying to crush its head. And so what I was going to do is try, I'm a new warlock. So I'm going to try to just reskin Witch Bolt was my plan. If that was cool with you, just this kind of like this hand grabbing, like sort of blast.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So this is my first Witch Bolt. All right. Okay, that definitely hits. And does Witch Bolt do that much damage?
D12, it sure does.
D12, yep, D12.
Oh man.
And then you can keep it going on your next turn if you wish. It's the best spell. It's so cool.
The whole Winds of Soda Saline campaign could be called The Winds of Matt's Witch Bolt.
Yeah, my Witch Bolt. Or Eldritch Blast. When I got the double Eldritch Blast and added my charisma modifier to it, I love Warlocks.
John Woo, you're like, pew, pew, pew.
I was just John Wooing all over the place. Yep. All right, how much damage?
11.
Oh, man, the zombie goes down.
Yes. There's a lot of sides on that.
What is it? What does that look like?
So it is very common. It's that sort of, the camera's panning, just walking. I see Ingo just doing his work. I just raise my hand as I walk by, just sort of splatter the thing's face elsewhere and continue to walk.
Yeah, you just kind of do it as an afterthought, and the zombie, who essentially is decapitated at this point, just its head is just crushed. It sinks down in front of you there, Ingo. Okay, and we're back up at the top of the initiative with Ingo. So Ingo, from your vantage point, you can see that there's one zombie left that is kind of duking it out with the your Tomeheart friend's familiar up there.
Yeah, Ingo's chest is in pain. He looks down. He sees the leather armor is ripped from the undead's claws. He sees that it's stained red with his blood in some areas, and he looks up at his Tomeheart ally. He looks up at Virtus and gives him a knowing nod of thanks as Virtus yet again has dispatched the enemy and saved Ingo a lot of pain. He's going to begin he steps over the boulder, actually. I keep forgetting I can control my own person. He steps over the boulder and he's going to move towards just the undead creature. I don't know, somewhere like about right here, if that's possible. To
absolutely.
Yeah. and he still has his short swords in his hand, and he's going to lift up the left one and try to cut upwards at this this other undead creature for a total of 10 to hit.
10 definitely hits.
6 points of damage as it cuts through undead rib.
That'll do it.
Yes, and the undead is still like going at it as he's cutting twine, falling to the ground. The gravity is now the greatest weapon against this thing, and up until the point it shatters into bone, it's or just the bones are strewn across the ground, and it's finally dispatched.
And as this zombie topples, the din of battle quiets, replaced by the trickling of this stream and the occasional distant call of birds. Peeking out from this boulder, this injured human man clutching a rusty sword kind of clambers over this boulder. By the gods, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come along. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I think thank you. And he kind of like looks you three over, looking at your weapons, noting with particular interest you, Virtus. He likely has never seen a tome heart before.
And as my arm crawls back up me and reaffixes itself at the elbow, I, not in a mean-spirited way, I just don't notice. And don't really think to respond. I sort of expect my human companions to do that sort of thing. I don't want to mess it up,
I calmly drop down from the tree branch, the tree trunk there, and as I'm stowing my crossbow, walk up, glance over at the boy to make sure he's okay. What injuries does he have?
So he has several sort of like superficial cuts to his torso and arms. They're bleeding steadily, but it doesn't look like he's bleeding out. It looks like this orc was just toying with him, just having sport of this boy. You would all probably know that in Ennis, basically the law is that you cannot conceal weapons. You have to carry them openly. But if you have a weapon, you can be challenged by any orc who wants to challenge you, because basically carrying steel is saying, I'm ready to fight. I want to fight somebody. So what probably happened is this boy's probably walking around carrying a sword, and these orcs just saw a chance for some entertainment and decided to take it out on him. So he's not critically injured. It just looks like he's more scared than anything else.
All right, I'll take note of that and note that he was able to walk. He's able to move. He's able to fight. He can hold a weapon. He seems good. So I will step up to the fire pit to where this food is cooking, and then just rip off a chunk and begin eating.
You do so, and it's really good. You aren't even sure what kind of meat it is, but
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter exactly. It's meat, and it's cooked. It's like a beautiful medium rare. It's got a nice sear on the outside. It's just these orcs know how to cook a hunk of meat. That's for sure.
Find a little rock or something that's suitable to sit down on, and just glance over at the boy there and motion for him to, we're okay. You're safe now.
Thank you. I don't know what I was thinking carrying this blade. I was going out into the swamp and I wanted some protection. I didn't think that I was going to run into any Mogtarok out here. He probably would have toyed with me all afternoon if you hadn't come by, and I can't even begin to think what would happen after that. And he kind of looks at the corpses of the zombies. These orcs are just despicable creatures. My name's Margo, by the way. Pleasure.
Margo, Ingo says as he kind of kicks over the skull of one of the undead, and he says, Grash Makar. Incorrectly. He's never heard of this type of orc. He's looking to the human, to the boy, for an explanation of what these things are and what made them.
Hang on, I'm gonna put a little campfire in here because I have a campfire. I'm gonna put it on the map.
Having it large.
Having
So
it
it's
larger.
there.
We are having it large on roll 20.
There it
Oh,
is.
really?
That
I thought
fire's
the
really-
campfire was somewhere else. So can we go back a few turns?
You ran
really-
right through it.
You really broke my immersion there.
I'm standing in it.
He kind of looks at you, Ingo, and says, the Mogtarok, they're orcs, but there's a bunch of different kinds. I don't know exactly, but I think," and he kind of looks at the markings that these orcs have, the brands that they have. I don't know. They might be from a different clan. But they rule here. They call the shots. I can't remember a time when they weren't, but my dad used to say that before they came that this was a completely different place, looked different, felt different. We ruled ourselves. Now we're just at their whim. They harvest us for slaves. And if we die, well, the slavery doesn't end. And he kind of like kicks one of the zombies with the edge of his boot.
Where are you from? Why are you out here? Say between chewing mouthfuls of whatever I'm eating there.
He sheathes the sword at his side. I'm from a nearby homestead. I was coming out in search of food. Hunting has been scarce lately, mostly because of, well, these orcs. They eat and they eat and they eat and don't leave much for us. I thought maybe if I went into the deeper wilderness, I'd find something worth hunting. Looks like these orcs did.
I found something more, I'd say.
Aye, what are you three doing out here? You kind of look over your garb. Not from Ennis. You're not covered in mud.
Oh, we're covered in enough to definitely lower our charismas, that's for sure.
A keen eye you have, Ingo would say. I hail from Varnholm, the icy place. And he looks down at the ground. Not like this. And he steps in like some squishy part of the mud.
Varnholm is quite a distance. He would look at you, Virtus. Never seen the likes of you. Heard tales, though. Can you talk? Like people do?
I can talk. I don't know if it's like people do. I do what I can.
No, it's not quite like people do, but you can talk.
Ha, 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 ha. We are having a joke.
He would sort of get this like disconcerted look on his face. Right. Well, I should probably be getting back to my house now. I've been gone quite a while, and they'll probably be worried about me. You're free to any of the supplies these orcs have on them. Thank you again.
Can you make it back safely?
I know the trails well. I can find my way back, and well, if I run into any more orc patrols, I'll just run as fast as I can.
Faster than that, actually. Says,
Much faster.
there's something in the woods. There's something out there.
Something in the woods? Something... What do you mean?
Those orcs, they weren't the only ones being hunted. He says, as he looks around at his companions.
I'll walk over to him and just give him a quick cure wounds.
Very nice.
So that's to be 4, 9 HP.
Nice. You get him back up to full. The wounds stitch close. He stands a little straighter. You see color return to his skin. Oh, and magic users to boot.
There's no magic. I placed my hands on his shoulders and kind of forehead to forehead, and he gets a vision as I do a low drone in Elvish, and he gets a vision of a calm beach, lying on the side with the surf just barely coming in, a warm sun, cool breeze, and when he comes out of it, he feels much better.
Never seen a place like that before. Is that where you're from?
I call many places home. They're not all that way. You get to yours. Try not to leave it again.
I will. Thank you. And, well, whatever's hunting you, take care. Being chased is not an easy way to live. And he'll nod to all of you, taking an extra long look at Virtus, just being sort of fascinated with him. And then we'll turn and sort of leap across the stream and bound into the woods off in the other direction.
When he leaves, I'm still stuffing food into my mouth, and I'm going to start searching, looting these orcs here. What do they have on them? Let's see if we can find out any information.
So you find both of them are carrying battle axes and wearing just like hide armor. They also have some preserved rations and full water skins on them, which will definitely come in handy. The one who was watching the duel, so this guy here, he has a book with him, this kind of leather-bound tome, and if you open it up and flip through it, it's diagrams of corpses, different parts being stitched together. It's a book of necromancy.
I definitely noticed the book. Yeah, I will definitely collect that. Not try to investigate anything right now. Mostly focused with the food and water, their rations. Collecting those, and then I will distribute them amongst everyone here. And I hope Ingo is also eating from the food over the fire.
You look over and you see more food in his face than his mouth has room for. So it's just emerging in a few different places out of his lips in some ways. He's so hungry.
Slowly.
As you're eating and kind of going through the supplies from the orcs, the zombies, by the way, had nothing on them, just rags, really. You hear a distant howl. And at first, it could be mistaken for a wolf howl, but it crescendos into this unsettling mixture of wolf howl and the scream of a man. And it kind of crescendos into this scream and echoes across through the woods, a little too close for comfort.
And Virtus would turn his head slowly, and he'd look directly at Ingo. And he would say, Ingo, I made a joke with the stupid human boy. Ha, ha, ha. I am getting better, I think.
He'd tap he'd hit your shoulder with his hand. Clunk. I think you are.
and just sort of not even really paying attention to that whatever guttural, awful, terrible noise that just happened. That's at the top of his small mind.
I'm going to try to identify the direction that this howl is coming from.
Go ahead and give me a perception check if you would.
Okay. I was hoping it'd be perception or survival, either one. That's a 9. Nope.
It seems to come from everywhere all at once. It's hard to discern exactly what direction it's coming from.
We're still at midday.
Yeah. Yep. Sun is high.
Is there any way to identify the creature, the species? Maybe.
You can give me an Arcana check or a History check.
Or a kiss your butt goodbye check.
Mhm.
Yeah, or one of those
Would
things.
also, yep, that'll do it.
Total is 8, so I think Ingo is kind of lost in the fact that it seems everywhere. He seems surrounded by it, and it just reverberates through the entire region, through the air.
Virtus, what's your tome? Like what information are you storing?
So I feel that I have traces of histories of anatomy. So like various opposite side of necromancy. So more of a like old sort of like Victorian, where they were exploring and figuring out medicine and that sorts of thing. So I have this strange knowledge of dwarven, elven vein systems and the different places and sizes of their hearts. That's sort of knocking around in my head.
Cool. Well, anyone else who wants to do one of those knowledge checks can if they wish.
You said history or
Arcana.
Let's try Arcana here. See what I can do. Okay, that's 15. A little better.
So you're kind of searching your memories, which are, as an elf, they span more decades than a human's would. You recall a lyric from some song that you've forgotten. The lyric is, "Relentless and alone they hunt, silent in the gloom, the emissaries of our immortal Lord, who speaketh only doom."
I'll begin repeating that as if I'm trying to remember exactly where I heard it, where I read it, who told it to me, just softly under my breath there.
And if the others would overhear, they would probably recognize the lyrics, though the full song would escape them. But it's something about the dismembered Lord, probably a song that gained prominence after Lightfall. But the words are unsettling. They give you a strange feeling. They raise the hairs on the back of your neck.
And sort of absentmindedly, I think Virtus would push air through the front of his mouth, essentially creating like the low rumble of copper harmonica. So like as Jim's character is sort of humming this kind of droning under his breath. So Trinsic is making these lyrics sort of sing-songy. I think that, Virtus would be like, polyphonic, pushing air through a couple of different tubes, sort of making it rise a little more, and then maybe even sort of relentless and alone they hunt, silent in the gloom. Yes, I know it. Terrible.
I must agree with that. And I believe that's our cue to move on. I'm going to hand Veritas that book. Hold on to this. Seems important. We'll figure that out later.
I will. And he stows it somewhere in himself.
All right, do a last check. Make sure that we have all the food, rations, water. We're going to definitely clean off this creature on the spit here. And we're going to put out the fire and move out.
Cool. You guys do so, and you leave this location. You have a few options here. You could try and follow the river if you wanted to, which would give you a sort of northerly direction. You can go in the direction that Margo went, which potentially would take you to a homestead. Where do you guys want to go?
Okay, now to get where we were going, we were following the river this far?
Yep, you were following the river, and if you want to try and get to the Copper Sun, you'll have to head northward.
And he went off in the which direction?
He went off to the west.
The west.
Yeah.
So my thinking is he's probably closer. I think we could use a rest. We know the Copper Sun's at least a few more days off. Ingo.
You'd see Ingo actually when you look to him. You'd see him looking around nervously because of the sound that they just heard and the creature that's been hunting them. He nods to you and he says, "I rest." But he looks to the north, just a quick glance to where the final destination might be.
I agree with the rest, but my thought is this thing going to follow us into a civilized location? Would be a test. Maybe we could hide amongst some other people, try to catch a glimpse of whatever this thing is that's chasing us.
Whatever it is that killed Willis. And you'd see a sad look cross Ingo's face.
We could also maybe bring it to more prey and endanger others.
That's my tantamount thought. Yes, I do not want to put anyone else at risk. This is tracking us. It's tracking us for a reason. I want to keep it that way. We're going to handle it on our terms. But we do need to rest. Maybe we can hide our trail if we go to a more populous location. Kind of reaching for anything right now. It's evaded everything we've done so far.
Maybe we could travel in the water. No trail in the river.
I would think we've probably been doing that up to this point. Does that have we noticed if traveling in a stream or water has thrown it off or even delayed it?
You know, it's hard to say exactly because you're not sure if this thing is just toying with you at this point, but you have noticed that if you have less of a trail, less of a scent, if you're traveling through water and stuff like that, that it does seem to be a little bit more distant to you. It seems to lag behind a little bit farther.
All right, so we're going to take that suggestion. We're going to make one last push following the river, and then we're going to break off and head in the direction that Margo came from. We need to rest. Okay. Yeah, we need to rest. We need to hide. I really want to see what this thing is that's tracking us. I've been tracked by a lot of things. I've tracked a lot of things. but this is not my terrain. I need some kind of an advantage.
Aye. And I will follow you. And he looks to Virtus, even elbows him in the chest, and says, "Ha! A joke and a play-in one day."
Ha, ha, ha. It is a good day. I hope we don't die.
We move out.
You do so, heading north along the river. And we'll take that opportunity to take a short rest ourselves. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break so we can run and use the bathroom, get something to drink. I'm going to get myself some shrimp tacos, and then we're going to come back and we're going to play some more D&D. So thanks, everyone, for watching. We will be right back.
Stay tuned.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to take a quick second to thank you all for watching. And if you are enjoying this game, please consider checking out our Kickstarter for A Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin in the description. This entire game is based off of things that are actually in the book, from the Mogtarok orcs and their policy on open weapon carrying, the way that the Tome Hearts are behaving, the various the swamp region, everything is in the book. So if you like this session, we want to give you the tools to run a session like this and so many more. So please consider backing A Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin. The link is in the description, and we are very close to our first huge milestone stretch goal, and you can help us with that. Thank you for watching. You guys are amazing, and I'll see you soon.
let's see. There's a where was this being broadcast at? Where's my chat? I know he put it in here somewhere. See if I can check in on chat here. Where's Hangouts? Row 20. Where's oh wait, I know where it's at. I think. Well, I missed it. Ah, here we go. There it is. Boom. Ah, here we go. Yes. Hey, I can see chat. Hello, chat.
Ooh, this has been a blast so far. Hooey. What is everybody else up to? Hey, what's up, Chad? He says, this has been super cool to watch, guys, getting me hyped for the Dragongrin session. Awesome, dude.
Nice, nice.
What's up, Jay Smith? Corey Homlock says, Tim, is that a Doom Eye Monster figure on your shelf? Never noticed that before. Yes, this is a Caco Demon.
Taco Demons.
Yeah, man. So my brother Thomas got me this for Christmas. That's why you haven't seen it before, because it arrived in the mail after Christmas, and then I just didn't see him for like 2 months. Well, he didn't have it on him when I did see him, so he ended up making a special trip to my house.
Now, when you squeeze it, it goes.
I don't know if you've seen. So yeah, it's anatomically correct from Doom.
Oh man. Oh,
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, those were so much fun to shoot in the face with a shotgun.
Right? Oh man, it's a certain kind of visceral joy.
It is.
Matt Howard and shrimp tacos, boy.
Oh my god, they're so good.
Yeah, what'd you guys go with? Is it like what kind of seasoning?
So just did really simple, like salt, pepper, garlic powder, panko breadcrumbs, fried them up, pan fried them, and then just did like a cabbage slaw with it's like jalapeno salsa ranch.
Oh,
and then my wife, bless her heart, she was like, oh, put sweet chili sauce on there. And that just like brought it all together, because then it's like acid, sweet, spicy, crunchy shrimp. And I charred the tortillas just a little bit. And
that's
dude, I can hear the drool. I can hear it trying to enter your microphone.
Like I made 3. I already ate 2, and I'm already sad that there's only 1 left. Like it's that good. Like I'm like, man, I can't believe it's gonna be done here in a little bit.
Dude, and I highly recommend for anybody who hasn't tried cabbage and tacos, just go to your section in the La Tucci aisle, and there's usually just sliced cabbage, and you just throw it on there. It's got this crunch and
It's
snap
great.
it.
Especially fish tacos. If you're doing like fish or shrimp tacos, and you do a little ranch on there, a little Baja, like it's just it's so good. Like I'm totally like a West Coast. I love like Baja tacos, just like all day, man. Shrimp tacos and shrimp burritos all day long.
Same here.
All right. So thanks everyone for watching. This has been really fun so far. Pretty good turnout tonight. Pretty good turnout for a weeknight game, that's for sure. Normally weeknight games, it's hard to get people to watch, but
Hump Day.
Unless you're Critical Role, then you own Thursday.
Yes, we do.
So our 3 intrepid heroes are setting out to the north, trudging through the river. It's slow going through the river, but you feel safer. You feel more secure doing it. You know that your scent is being masked. You know that you're not leaving behind tracks. And even though this thing that has been hunting you is relentless. You have managed to seemingly put some distance between yourselves and it. You walk for about an hour, and the stream begins to flow downward. You find yourselves following this decline, and you wind up in what is known as a sink, which are these really sudden holes that open up across Ennis as a result of the arcane terraforming that is happening. The stream spills into this crater, branching off, filling the bottom of it. And you notice several things about this crater. Oh, hang on. There we go. You notice that at the bottom of this crater are the bones of something massive. And at first, they don't look like bones. They look like boulders. They look like the sides of mountains. They look like cliff faces. But then looking them over, you see that indeed there is a gigantic skull emerging from the ground at the bottom of this sink. There's a massive hand with knuckle bones and fingers sprawled out. And at the center of this sink, you see a subtle green glow that seems to be emanating from a gemstone the size of your head, inlaid in a sword with a hilt the size of an ox cart. The largest weapon you've ever seen. If you know anything about history, legend, myth, you immediately think Titan. This must be a Titan of Dragongrin. And this is where it died. Buried by time and earth. Now revealed as a result of this magical terraforming. The sides of this sink are sheer and steep. It seems a decent defensible position. What do the three of you want to do as you enter this place?
Scan the grounds. How wide of a sink is this, diameter-wise? And what's the terrain around it?
Sorry, I decided to take a bite. It's about 100 feet wide and deep. And the terrain around it sort of opens up a little bit, and you can see kind of what Ennis may have used to look like. You see the kind of vague memory of plains, these rolling hills, these golden grasses, bits of shrubs and woods and things like that. It seems that the marsh sort of like ends here, and beyond it lies these golden rolling plains of the Ennis that was, which themselves will probably soon be swallowed up by the marsh that is growing.
Any idea how much further we have to go to get to this village, this town?
The homestead that Margo was heading to is probably not too far. You imagine, based on what he was telling you, maybe another hour or so, if that. The Copper Sun, probably a day or so more.
I'll look to the other two. Do we have any reason to want to investigate? Want to stay around here? Or do we continue on now that we're on harder ground and advance our lead by at least another hour? Maybe two.
Ingo, the question hangs on the wind, and Ingo looks to this glowing gemstone embedded in this seemingly tight, this Titan's sword. And he, distracted, he looks back to you, Trinsic, and says, "Oh, yeah, well, I think we would be mistaken to not." And he looks over, "Check it out." And he actually starts making his way over to the middle of that sword, trying to trudge through the riverbed carefully. Well, not necessarily carefully, just trying not to, step on anything that'll hurt or pull him down.
And Virtus absent-mindedly walks to the sword as well, and he places his copper-sheened hand on the edge. It softly scrapes. And something comes alight in him. He looks to Ingo, and then he looks to Trinsic. This is what I was born of. These pieces, they remind me of who I am, where I'm from. This is home.
I'm going to take out a small book and a bit of charcoal, and I'm going to sketch out this area rather quickly. Just the surrounding area, the Titan, the position it's lying in, the sword, particularly the jewel, the green gem that's glowing there, and then kind of make little figures of my two companions there, standing over it.
Virtus and Ingo, where you're close to the hilt, you actually see the remains of what looks like a humanoid skeleton, normal sized. And you can see that it's kind of sprawled over the pommel, its hand reaching towards the gem. And you see that its bones are charred and blackened and brittle. It looks like someone may have died long ago trying to access that gem.
Ingo looks to Virtus and says, "Well, you first." What?
So, Matt, I would like to make an Arcana check that essentially just, this is my heritage, So I want to see if I understand what we're looking at, maybe the gem's function, and aside from just being a shiny stone in a hilt. Okay, so that
you can make the check with advantage if you wish, since you are a tome heart.
Oh, yeah. That helped. Dirty 20 on the second roll.
Nice. This gemstone hums with power. It is both a battery and a receptacle. The Titans were beings of flesh, but they were also beings of energy. And a gemstone such as this could be used to channel and control that energy. It's likely that this gemstone contains the last remnants of the soul, the spirit of the Titan that rests here.
This is sacred ground. It is hallowed ground. It is the grave of a Titan. My forebears. My creators. This gem holds the essence, the very will and spirit of a creature more powerful than any of us combined. It is worth a fortune in your world, but is worth far more than that to me.
How are you feeling right now? I'll look up. I imagine you're pretty tall.
I feel clarity. I feel a sense of purpose. I feel like I have remembered.
Well, I'm afraid we are going to lead this whatever's following us right to this position inadvertently. So do we stay and defend it? Does it need our defense?
And you see his head sort of twitching, and it shifts.
I will stay with my friends. No, I will stay with the gem. No, I will stay with my friends. Ingo, Trinsic, you are my family now. The gem is just a gem. I will stay with you.
Perhaps we can bring it with us. Best of both worlds, eh, friend? Kung. And actually, right after that, Ingo will reach kind of towards the gem, thinking that you saying, "Oh, I'll stay with you, forget the gem," is kind of like permission to grab it. So, but if you smack his hand away or something, it'll stop him for sure.
I wouldn't smack his hand away, but as it reaches toward it, I would say,
It is likely to kill you, though we can try.
You see Ingo's tongue kind of stick out between his lips as he bites it and thinks about it for a second and gets a little closer, gets a little further away, and he pulls away far away and looks to Trinsic for a final say on it. But he's on the fence, but he can't stop resting his eyes on that beautiful green gem.
What's the size of that gem? Does it look like any one of us could actually carry it?
You could probably carry it. It is the size of your head. You imagine it's quite heavy, but you could put it in a bag and carry it. It's probably about the weight of a very heavy bowling ball.
I'll look at the large friend there, if you have the strength to carry it. And it will not slow us down, because you know what that could mean.
I do. I am strong.
and so Virtus would turn to the gem and he would reach two copper plated telescoping arms over it. And from those arms, two smaller appendages sort of burgeon out of just. And as I grasp the gem, Matt, what happens?
I take a step back.
Probably a good idea. I'm going to need a charisma check, please.
Sure thing. Also, DM record of note. I have the ability Elemental Adept, which basically I have resistance to lightning, and I can treat that differently than most.
Cool.
All right. My charisma check is a 6 all up.
Okay, so you reach towards this gem, and as you barely touch it. In fact, it's almost like you're not even quite touching it when this happens. There is a blinding flash of green light. A hum fills all of your ears. And Virtus, you get a flash. You see this Titan as it was in life. Massive, towering, plated in metal, and shards of metal floating around it. Its sword glowing this vibrant green. And you see it clashing with something else. Another creature. A primordial, elemental, bestial, massive. It swings with its sword, and the primordial knocks it aside with one of its many arms as a fist closes around the Titan's throat, and the primordial drives it to the ground. And then another flash, and you see two other creatures locked in this same position, except the Titan is you, Virtus, and the primordial is something else. It's the thing. Somehow you know this is what took Willis. Somehow you know this is what has been hunting you. Hulking, slouched, covered in matted fur, wearing piecemeal armor, claws like daggers, face like a skull, and it's driving you to the ground. And then you come to, taking 15 lightning damage as you fly backwards from this expulsion of titanic energy.
I'm by his side when he hits the ground. Not touching him. Just hovering.
Yeah,
waiting
and you
for some
see
kind of a reaction.
You see lightning just kind of playing across the copper plates of his outer shell.
Is there a piece of wood or something around?
There is, yeah.
I will grab it and throw it on him real quick.
Very smart. You do so, and the lightning kind of sizzles out as he lays there.
I will wait some kind of a reaction. Wave my hands. See if he's gets to looking in my direction.
The hollow helmeted head of Virtus looks at you. And you swear that you've begun to see emotion, even though his circular eyes are hollow, and they evoke thanks. And if he could smile, he would. But since he cannot, through searing hot metal, he says, "Doom, it hath spake upon us."
Oh, what does he mean? What does he mean?
That's something I would really like to know myself. Ingo, Help me help him up.
Ingo arrives just right across from you. You're both surrounding the Tome Heart now, and he goes down to help again, like by the shoulder or something like that. One arm over his back, help up Virtus.
We'll lift him to his feet, or at least bring him to a standing position, kneeling position.
Yep, and Virtus would assist, sort of still slightly hot to the touch, but manageable.
I saw something. I saw what is hunting us. It speaketh only doom.
So was it a beast? What is it?
Old. Vile. It is something more than beast. A face like a howling skull, hungry for our flesh.
Oh, we're going to die out here.
Yes, likely.
I'll take a half step back. Well, I believe that will settle it. We're going to make our stand here. I'm not going to lead this thing any closer to anyone else.
I will make the stand with you, as you say.
I was really hoping you would.
Well, who would I be if I did not stand with you two friends?
You have about an hour, you think. There's plenty of wood. There's rocks here. There's the supplies that you guys have on you. There are shards of this sword that are small enough that you can pick them up and move them. You guys are free to make any sort of plans here that you wish if you want to make your last stand.
We have to go full predator.
Absolutely.
Cover yourselves in mud.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Come on, do it.
Tim's standing on a cliff face, shirtless, going, "Oh!" holding a torch.
Yep. There's no chopper to save us this time.
Get to the copper.
Oh, man.
That was good.
Oh, because you're going to the Copper Sun. That's funny.
Set
That's
him
a
up.
good one, Tim.
Take him down.
Yep.
2 jokes and a plane in one day.
All right. So the entrance that we came in, is that the only entrance egress site that looks like is viable?
So there is another. So you guys came in. I'm going to ping the map here. You guys came in from this. I'm going to try to ping the map. Oh, because I'm using the wrong tool. You guys came in here. There appears to be a way in to the north as well.
Now, all this is under the assumption, of course, that this is only a land-walking being, and that it is indeed walking.
Yeah, that is the assumption, yes.
All right, so all right, we've got 2 ranged and a close. How high? What's the height of this sword?
It's probably, I'd say like 4 or 5 feet off the ground. You can pretty easily clamber up on top of it if you need to.
And on the other side, half cover?
Yeah, definitely. It would give you half cover.
All right, now I think the bow has a greater range than the crossbow. I'm certain of that. All right, so all right, spread out. Find what we can. Let's take 15 minutes to find, just to scope out this area very quickly. I'm going to go and take a look over here at this hand.
If you go to the hand, then Ingo will move towards the skull, probably just to examine the opposite direction. He'll take a look. He'll climb up on that boulder and take a look inside that dark eye.
And I'm gonna essentially just drape myself over one of the fingers like a big copper ring and hope the thing doesn't notice me.
Perfect. You're gonna get active camo.
Yeah, I'm just like holding that big green gem like a.
Get me. I'm an engagement ring.
Yeah.
So, Ingo, you're looking inside the skull. You see that it's hollow on the inside. Plenty big for you to go inside of. You don't notice anything of interest in there aside from a few shards of bone and pools of water. Trinsic, you head over to the fingers. You see that they're very hard bone. They feel like stone to the touch, clustered in a way where you can easily fit between them if you wanted to seek cover in between those fingers.
How deep is this water? We're talking like ankle deep.
In the deepest portions, like towards the center of each pool, it's probably about waist height. Okay. Beyond that, it's easy enough to move through its ankle calf depth.
Because I don't need to breathe. And so I was essentially going to lay down in the water.
Just give up.
Just give up.
Yeah. Just slowly let it suffocate me.
I've seen it fight. There's no chance.
Yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah, but definitely it's deep enough where you could, if you were laying down or even crouching, you could get under the water.
Okay, and great.
Where would that point be at?
If it could be deep enough, I would relate this plan to the two of you, especially looking for cues from Trinsic, basically explaining, hey, I don't need to breathe. Let's use this water as an element of surprise. So in one of the deep parts of the pool, wherever you would want me, I would squat.
It's deep enough here, right where you are there, and here.
Did you ping a third spot?
I did. So here. Here.
Okay.
Gotcha. I wasn't zoomed out far enough for that third one.
Yeah.
So I would ask my companions, where do you think I should submerge myself? I would crouch so that I could spring to action.
All right. So let's put you in that point there. Did you see that? Yes. Excellent. Go ahead and test it to make sure that you can fully submerge.
Yeah, and you can, even just kneeling, you can get your head underneath the water.
Yeah, and I imagine, Matt, it's one of those where I'm kneeling, but I have to like look up so that my head isn't sticking out kind of thing.
That's exactly it.
This is not clear water, right? This is dirty water.
Yeah, it's very brackish and swampy. It's pretty gross, yeah.
Okay. Now the high ground on this boulder here, what's the height of that?
It's probably about 10, 12 feet off the ground.
Nice. Okay, so I'm thinking we're going to have, I'll move my map back here. Okay, I'm going to place Ingo. I'm going to direct Ingo to on top of the boulder there.
Cool. I'll take one final peek inside that eye. Do I see anything of note before I turn and go to the top of that boulder? Is there anything like shiny or anything in there at all?
There's a castaway chest, but other than that, there's nothing.
This castaway chest.
Just leave it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Fairs, whatever.
No, it's definitely, you can tell that that this stuff is recently unearthed, and so there's nothing really of note inside the skull. You imagine it as soon as this thing gets noticed by anybody, they're going to build a little hut in there. There's going to be a little indie shopkeep inside that skull selling, rare wares, I'm sure. But for now, there's nothing in there.
I'll let out a little ugh and then head on back to the boulder and begin climbing my way up it. This is a very advantageous position, especially with the longbow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gives you clean line of sight for in all directions. You can see the entire sink from here.
All right, so Ingo, you are going to be our lookout, our alert. As soon as you see anything other than us that moves within our area here, you let us know.
Ingo nods and immediately begins acting as sentry, looking around in all directions, specifically towards the two entrances that he can see.
All right, and now if you get moved from that position, you go to the skull.
He nods, but he says, "If I get moved from this position, it's 'cause I'm dead." But he nods again.
Barnholm for life.
That's right. All right, and I am going to move over here. All right, I'm going to drop my pack right here. I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to put 10 bolts on top of this rock. I'm going to put another 10 bolts here on this rock. And then I'm going to take everything else with me to right here.
Awesome.
And hunker down. Try to get as much full cover as possible.
Perfect. Yeah, and you can easily get enough cover where you can sort of peek your head over it, but otherwise you have pretty much full cover on that end of the sword there. So
I will wave at Ingo to make sure he can see me.
And he can, definitely.
All right. Eat, drink, stay calm.
You guys have enough time to take a short rest, regaining hit points if you've lost any. It begins to darken. The sun begins to dip below the horizon a bit. You hear crickets, the distant howls of animals, little things skitter through the shrubs and the bushes, but otherwise it's calm. And then, Ingo, you hear something. A voice. The crickets stop. It goes eerily quiet. And Willis calls out to you from the darkness. Come on, then. Wait up.
Ingo looks around, sees if anyone else has heard this. Probably seeing no sign, he looks into the distance where Willis came from and says, "Willis, is that you?"
Come on, then. Wait up. Give me an insight check, if you would.
Total 12.
It is unmistakably Willis.
"Oh, Willis, by the gods!" And he will actually... Ingo will... in which direction is this coming from?
It's coming from this direction, directly in front of you to the west.
Awesome. Well, Ingo is going to be... He's going to kind of begin sliding down the rock, and he's going to be just on the edge of the stream, and he's going to say over his shoulder, "It's Willis! He's alive!" kind of in a strained whisper. He understands that, you know, you're trying to keep quiet, but he's not quiet. He's excited that his friend's still alive, and he's making his way towards him.
You move towards the sound, and you see something, a shape in the darkness. You hear again, "Come on, then. Wait up." And you realize that it's said with the same exact inflection, almost like it's a recording. Then this shape in the darkness throws something at you. Comes hurtling out of the shadows of twilight. Comes rolling to a stop at your feet. You look down and you see the flayed skull of your friend Willis. His mouth agape in a silent scream. The brand of the dismembered lord is carved into his forehead.
Oh, bleaking hell. And if I can, he'll stumble backwards. But yeah, he stumbles backwards, terrified of the face of his friend, and even more terrified at the brand of the dismembered lord.
And you hear again from the darkness, "Come on, then. Wait up." It gets distorted. "Come on, then. Wait up."
No.
What are the other two of you doing as this happens?
As soon as, excuse me, as soon as I saw him look off in a direction and hop down off the rock, he was perched there, I quickly stepped up to this rock over here, up on the top, so that I could get try to get a clearer look.
Perfect. And what about you, Virtus? You definitely, even beneath the water, you can hear the voice of Ingo.
So I would be torn. I would be torn because I'm supposed to be the element of surprise, and I know that. And so I think that, you know, Virtus would be specifically trying so hard to follow instructions. So I'm torn, and I'm going to roll. Okay. So I failed my own little personal wisdom save there. And so I'm going to stand up from the water, thinking that the skirmish has begun, just trying to save my friend, hearing him saying, "Oh, blinking hell." Like, I can't follow the plan, unfortunately. And so I will stand up, and what do I see?
You see Ingo kind of backed up against the rock. You see a bloody skull in front of him, half of its flesh still remaining. You instantly recognize the face, though horrific and scarred, as Willis. And you notice Trinsic kind of moving up, still maintaining cover, trying to get a better line of sight. And you see the shadowy shape kind of just beyond in the shadows of twilight. And it's kind of skirting around the edge of the sink, watching. And you see eyes glint.
I would say, Willis, you are the one who taught me how to tell jokes. I will avenge you.
And I charge the figure, and as I do so, I fire my very best warlock spell.
Yeah, you do.
Which would be, I think I'm going to go ahead and do another witch bolt.
Which bolt are you going to do?
Yeah,
dumb joke, not funny at all.
Actually, it's the perfect amount of funny. So in this instance, holding out a hand, and his face sort of shifting into this sort of war mode, just Does a 16 hit?
A 16 does hit.
Okay. Not a lot of damage there. No. So, okay. So that's 8 points of damage.
What type of damage? I believe Witch Bolt is lightning.
Yes, it is. Lightning damage.
Okay.
Concentration, 1d12 per round, etc.
Cool. So you lash out with this stream of energy, and it strikes this figure, and you see it illuminated in the crackling lightning, and you see the slouched figure, piecemeal armor. You see that skull-like face that almost appears flayed. You see beady green eyes glower at you. This magical energy almost bounces off of it. It seems to almost walk through it as it hits it, as it stalks forward. Its eyes fixated on Ingo. Let's go ahead and roll for initiative, everybody.
$14 here.
14 for Trinsic. Oh, 4 for Ingo. What'd you get, Virtus? Oh, man. Okay.
Also a 4. I don't know how you break ties. My dex is a +1.
Mine's a total +3. It's a 16, so I think that means
yeah. So Ingo goes before Virtus. That's fine. Okay, so that means Trinsic, you are up first.
All right. As soon as I see Virtus lose it, begin the attack, I'm going to rush. I'm going to double move 70 to right there. Okay. Oops. Fleetfoot. I do my elvish anime run. Crossbow.
You got the Naruto hands out behind you.
Running across, just skipping across the water. You must run very fast.
That's perfect.
And right there, bolt is loaded. And I'm gonna try to hear, because I missed the whole conversation, what was going on. So I'm gonna try to listen as best I can.
Perfect.
And I'm going to prepare my Ranger Hunter's Mark. First target I see.
Great. Okay, that was Trinsic. It is now this thing's turn. It's been kind of standing there calmly this entire time. And it comes forward, and the dying sunlight falls across its face. You see its form in full. It looks at you, Ingo, and its jaw opens and then closes as it begins to mimic Willis again. You always were a terrible shot, it says. And then it gets down on all fours and bounds towards you. All right. I actually have a stat block prepared for this thing that I made using D&D Beyond. And if you guys are interested, I'll be sharing a screenshot of this stat block on Twitter after this game. So make sure you follow the link down in the description of my Twitter account if you want to see this.
I'll definitely check it out after this game. So that I can use it.
Parker's like, could you post it now so I can know what's about to happen to me?
I'll post it for you if you shoot it right along.
So this thing comes up from its sort of bounding towards you like a wolf, and then comes up on its hind legs and swipes at you with these dagger-like claws. Oh man, both hit. 16 slashing damage, Ingo,
Holy
as this thing just
hell.
rakes its claws across you.
All right.
And it's in front of you. It is a head taller than a man and about twice as wide. It's massive. You have no idea how this thing has been so stealthy. But it has to weigh close to a ton. It is just massive creature. All right, that was this thing's turn. Ingo, you're up.
Blood is strewn upon the boulder behind Ingo as his armor is torn to shreds even further. He's staring this horrible thing in its face. His hand dropped the longbow and is clutching at a recently drawn short sword, and he's going to try to stick it into this monster almost by accident, almost as if he's just holding it out to hope that he captures the enemy. Oh no. And it actually comes across that way as he rolled 10 total.
Does not hit.
It just slides right by this. What is the hide of this thing like? Do I feel it? Is it wearing armor? Is it?
It's wearing armor that now that it's up close, you realize that the armor is the stitched together hides of people. It's also wearing metal plates. The blade just kind of skids across its armor, and even if you did damage, it doesn't appear to even notice.
At this point, the wound that Ingo was just dealt, it begins feeling numb, and he looks at this thing in the face and he says, "Murdered by a demon. Never thought that would be my end." And he backs into the corner of the boulder.
Virtus, you're up.
Continuing to hold my hand out as this thing so slowly closes in on Ingo. Just continuing to do my best, even though you mentioned that it appears as though it sort of shrugs it off and ignores it. Is that something that I would take note of?
You definitely notice that though it took damage, though you seemingly scorched its armor and marred its flesh, it didn't seem to react to the pain.
Gotcha. So I
almost
focus
as if it's resisting your damage.
Almost as though it's resisting magic. So I raise my hand so that I can focus this beam of crackling, now green energy, drawing from the strength of the crystal near me. I point as closely as I can to its gaping maw, trying to shoot deep within its gullet. Well, actually, since it hits, with concentration, I can continue it, yes? Just kind of like...
I need to look it up. Hang on.
Okay. I have a little note here.
I should know this. I was a witch bolt.
What?
And I just number 2 pencil in Wind of Celine, but
it super was, dude.
So okay, so on each of your turns for the duration, you can use an action to just deal 1d12 damage again.
Perfect. Yep. So I will do that. Oh, sweet. That's much better. Oh, 15. 15 damage.
All right. Let me wait. 15. How do you get 15 on a d12, neighbor?
Well, because Oh,
Tim, are you cheating again?
Yeah. No, I was looking. You know what I did just then? I added my +5 attack bonus to my damage.
Oh yeah,
I rolled a 10 and I have a +5, and I was like, "Wow, this witch bolt is amazing."
So you do 10 damage then.
So that was a 10.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Yeah, normally you don't add the attack bonus to spells unless they say so.
Listen, if you see this character sheet, you'd understand.
It's written on a napkin with a crayon.
Yeah, it's like Sanskrit.
It's just foam heart written on it, and the E backward.
It says I am robot on there.
Yeah, I D&D sometimes.
Yeah. All right, Virtus, do you want to do anything else in your turn? Any movement?
So I want to learn the rules, and then I also I would probably start to stalk closer to this thing.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely would do that, and I would take the full move. Is there anything that would stop me from making the full move toward it, like any sort of fear effect or anything like that?
Not currently.
Okay. What a DM answer. So I do.
Not that you can tell.
Not that you can tell. It doesn't appear so. So yeah, I am going to get as close to this thing as possible, just trying to.
Perfect. All right. Back at the top of the initiative, Trinsic, you're up.
All right. So as I was running forward, I'm yelling, "Advance! Advance!" I take a moment to pause here when I get next to the rock, and I can hear whatever sounds of combat that are going on the other side. So I'm going to quickly, 5, 10, 15, 12, 30, sweep around to the edge here and appraise the situation. What am I looking at? What do I see as I finally put eyes on this thing?
You see what you imagine demons look like, bearing down on Ingo, and you see that Ingo is bleeding pretty heavily from lacerations across his torso. You also see on the other side of this massive creature, you see your Tomeheart friend is stalking toward it, maintaining a beam of crackling arcane energy directed at it. You see that it appears to be taking some damage from this arcane energy, but not enough to dissuade it from its current prey of Ingo.
Ingo, move away! And I fire. Yeah, I'm going to keep with my original plan. No adjustment. Does it look like it notices me as I swing around the rock here?
It seems singularly fixated on Ingo at this point.
All right. 25.
That'll hit.
All right. And it's going to be 6 and 8. My Elven Hunter's Mark has found its target. So that's going to be, crap, 9 damage.
Okay.
Don't forget to add the extra +5
that Tim has.
That you got it.
Yeah. That's a house roll. Everyone just gets +5 to everything.
+5.
It's in the book. You'll love it.
Easy.
Back
it's
it.
called
It's
D&D easy mode. Yeah. You
My D8 rolled low, so
yeah, your bolt strikes true. It sinks into this thing, and you see it kind of almost glance sidelong at you, almost like this bolt didn't hurt it enough to warrant it even looking at you directly. It just kind of does the thing where you sort of, it notes that you're there, like, okay, yep, enemy to my right, and then just returns its attention back to Ingo, who is bleeding in front of it.
Ingo, move away now. And as I'm reloading, I'll take an extra 5,
Cool.
keeping it in sight.
Beautiful. All right. It is this thing's turn. All right. Let's try this out.
Oh, that's my last one, too, isn't it? Yep.
I need everyone to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh, God.
17.
Okay.
12 for me.
12. Okay. So Virtus and Ingo. Well, I'll just describe what's happening first. The creature takes a minor step backwards. Ingo kind of sprawled out on the rock in front of it, bleeding. He notes the position of Virtus, Intrinsic. Its jaw opens wide. It takes in a breath.
Mm-hmm.
And then it speaks doom. A wave of thunder emits from this thing as it roars. It is thunderous and screeching at the same time. You see a crack down the center of this boulder as the wave hits it. Virtus and Ingo, you are each going to take 13 psychic damage, and you are both stunned until the start of this thing's next turn. Trinsic, you take 7 psychic damage and are not stunned.
Copy.
Ingo, you actually feel your ribs break from this roar, from the pure kinetic energy of it.
He does, and he will be thrown back against the boulder, and the back of his ribs break as well. He slides down the boulder as a crumple of his former self. He's at 0 and is unconscious and stunned, I suppose.
And as the roar fades, you just hear in your ears. Okay. It then... I'm using the ruler. It then steps towards you, Virtus, leaving Ingo at its back like discarded garbage. Ingo, you're up. Give me a death saving throw.
That was so cheerful.
Nope. All right, 1 failure.
1 down.
Note it. Virtus, you're up.
So I am going to add +5 to my stunned. I'm stunned. So I will sort of look at this thing and not being able to move the hollow sockets of my eyes. It almost appears as though they widen, though they don't. And I am so being stunned, I look statuesque, as though I'm just part of the scenery.
You ran out of batteries.
Put in a quarter.
All right. Back up to the top of the initiative with Trinsic.
Little Titan, snap out of it. This is your home. Defend it. And I fire. $21.
Definitely hits.
This is not deep water over here where I am.
No.
All right. I'm just aiming, center mass, shooting, sidestepping. Damn it. 6 damage. I rolled 2 1s. Crap.
Again, your bolt strikes true. There are now 2 bolts sticking out of this thing's hide, and it just doesn't seem to notice. You see blood coming from the wounds, but it is unfaltering.
All right. I'm going to keep yelling at Virtus, trying to get him to come to, shake off whatever effect I see has happened to him.
All right.
I will step 1 more. This land mass over here,
Mm-hmm.
is that high or is it even?
It's a little higher than the water, but not drastically so. It's a few feet above the water line.
Okay.
This creature's turn. It stands before the stunned Virtus and makes 2 attacks at advantage. First one is a hit. Second one is a crit. So
My tome!
my tome. So 24 slashing damage.
Yep, that'd probably do it.
+5.
What are you at right now? Are you at 0?
I am at 0. That drops me.
You're standing there, you're teetering. It climbs on top of you And as you are sinking to the ground, it is reaching into your plates and pulling pieces out, just ripping armor off of you. It's digging in with its claws and its jaws, just bits of metal, gears, cogs, just being ripped out like you're essentially being mechanically eviscerated.
I love that. I love that. And these involuntary sounds from in whatever creates the voice in a tome heart. Just that. These slow, almost sluggish, guttural moans. And you see this, it's not blood, but just this ichor, this thick black ichor just eschewing from me.
Awesome. All right. Ingo, I need a death saving throw.
I already rolled it, actually, a little bit earlier. Ingo sees home. He sees icy mountains in the distance, and he fails. Second failure.
All right. 2 failures. Virtus, death saving throw, please.
Okay. That's a success.
Okay, cool. 1 success.
Yep.
Beautiful. That brings us back to the top of the initiative with Trinsic.
Unfortunately, Kashai, my crossbow, isn't doing what I would want it to do. So on its strap, I let it go. And by my side, I pull my 2 tonfa, made out of yew wood that I carved my first weapons when I was but a small wee elf. And I charge. I'm going in. That's an 18. Well, correction, 15.
Hits. 15 just hits.
Okay. And that is a different die. That's going to be, max damage. 10, 13.
Nice.
I swivel, wham, and just start laying into this creature, whatever it is, from a flank rear position here.
And you actually hear a crack as you do some damage to this thing. You feel a bone snap beneath your tonfa as you wail on this thing with these weapons, and it turns to regard you directly for the first time, acknowledging you as a threat.
Good, that's what I wanted. I smile.
Beautiful. All right, and it's this thing's turn. It turns, its claws covered in both blood and the black ichor of the tome heart. It swings with its claws. It misses with the first one. You dodge underneath it. The second one hits for 8 slashing damage.
8. Copy. What is it? Claws? You said claws.
Yeah, it's got these big scythe-like claws on the ends of its big meaty mitts. All right, Ingo, for all the marbles, let's do a death saving throw here.
So, for all the folks at home, if I do fail this, I die, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Correct.
Has to be the third one.
Yep.
Ingo sees Varnholm. He sees the icy mountains. And he is able to linger a little bit longer as his vision almost zooms in on the icy peaks of Varnholm, as his kind of unconscious vision allows him to explore more of the region before, well, whatever happens.
There's an elvish voice off in the distance rolling through those hills, calling your name.
Yes, there is.
Awesome. Very cool. Virtus, death saving throw, my friend.
Virtus has the opposite reaction as his companion Ingo, and you can see one particularly large plate that's sort of warped and bent just gives way and caves inward, and he fails a death saving throw.
Okay, so that's 1 success, 1 failure for you?
That's me. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, back up at the top at the initiative. Trinsic, you're facing off with this thing. Your turn.
All right. Adjusting to try to keep it on its toes, guessing to where I'm going to be, where I'm going to strike from next. 20, not natural.
That hits.
All right. I'm going to duck, dodge, swing under, and with both Tonfa, I'm going to try to headshot. 9 damage.
Not bad. You crack this thing across the jaw, and it snaps back and looks at you. You see blood trickle from its teeth.
And just a slight motion.
Nice. Get some. And it is this thing's turn. Let's see here. What else did I give it?
What else did I give it?
Heal many, that new spell we made.
He unravels a scroll.
Yeah. I'm gonna need a wisdom saving throw from you, please, Trinsic.
Wisdom saving throw. All right, nice. I will take that. 13, 15.
You just make it. This
Okay.
This thing unhinges its jaw, and instead of a thundering roar that comes out, it sort of snarls at you with this whining scream. And for a second, its face sort of takes on the visage of Willis. You see Willis there, and Willis is crying. Blood is streaming from his eyes, from his mouth, and you can hear him saying, "Why did you leave me behind? Why did you leave me behind?" And then you shake it off. You realize this is just an illusion. It's just toying with you. You shake it off, and this thing is standing there, and you have successfully managed to shake off the fear effect that it was attempting to put on you.
Yeah, when I feel that, fear? No, that's right. Okay. When I feel that effect starting to come over, I kind of go into a boxer's crouch with my tonfa, plug my ears just a little bit and turn my head, but don't lose sight of it.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Ingo, death saving throw, please.
The mountains of Varnholm are calling his name. Ingo. A success, 2 and 2.
Oh man,
He finds himself in the mountains of Varnholm, and a place that he's actually been before, just seen. He sees the entrance to a strange underground chamber. His first adventuring location, we'll say. Something in the icy, something in the maw of black ice, we'll say. But he's standing before some ancient and old tomb that he has at some point, maybe, again, like I said, his first adventuring location, and we'll see what happens next. He hears, coming from inside the tunnels, in an elvish sort of dialect or accent, he hears, "Ingo, Ingo.
Ranger, on your feet!"
Exactly that. He hears that.
Beautiful. Virtus, death saving throw, please.
Let's do this. Okay. That is another success.
Okay. 2 successes, 1 failure for Virtus.
This is your home. Get up and defend it.
Awesome. Trinsic, you're up.
All right, I'm going to move again. Try to see if I can get him off guard. Take another couple of shots here. That's another 15.
That definitely hits.
Okay. 11. Rolled better that time.
Very nice.
So I'm trying to see where this thing has some weaknesses at. How it moves, where its arms go, what it does just before it strikes, and I'm trying to intercept just before he makes a move.
Yeah, you're starting to figure it out. You're starting to find the openings in its fighting style, and you're learning to manipulate and take advantage of his reckless sort of savage fighting style. And you're getting some hits in. You're actually dealing some damage. You see it. It takes a moment. It's panting. It takes a moment at bearing down on you with these green, beady eyes. Still standing, still strong, but it's you're winding it at least. All right.
Okay.
This thing retaliates with 2 swipes of its claws. Oh man, that is 2 misses.
Whew, okay.
You are learning how to fight this thing. You parry one claw with your tonfa, dodge underneath the other one, and set yourself up for a strike underneath. Ingo, let's do it, baby.
The reverberating word. Ranger. Get up. And I fail. The words get up sink into the depths of this tomb, and I cannot help but move towards it. You know what? At the end, Ingo, he actually sees his old friend Willis. He's standing there, and then he feels just sweetness. Nothing else, nothing from the wretched thing that destroyed him. He's far beyond that, far beyond any of it now.
You have found maybe the only place in Dragongrin that offers peace, and that is death. All right, Virtus.
All right. Oh, that's a hard fail. What is your rule on a crit fail?
Did you crit fail? That's two failures. So that's 3 total failures.
So I think that the essence of that green crystal is calling out to me. And I can't stop it anymore. And the enormous energy of this Titan standing over me, beckoning to me as the energies within me leave and are joined back with that green crystal that I was carrying, and it just falls out of me. And I am there, just a husk of metal, of wood, dead.
Trinsic, it is your turn, and as you're battling this vile creature, you see the glassy eyes of Ingo, and you see the rusting hunk that used to be Virtus. You know, if they're still living, they don't have much time left. It is your turn.
I've been in this position before. I've had to face off against many beasts. But it's been a while since I've had some close friends. And years of elven anger, elven training suddenly come up. So part of my monster slayer archetype, Slayer's Prey, I utter an elvish curse, mark this creature as my prey, and hope I hit. Uh, 17.
Definitely hits.
Yes. All right. Now I get to do an extra D6 damage. That's going to be 8. 13 total.
13 total.
13.
Not bad. Let me see here. Okay. You strike this thing, and a tooth comes out of its mouth. Goes flying to the side. This thing turns back, and you see a new expression on its face. One that extends beyond just hunger and savagery, but there's a cunning there, a cleverness, and now excitement as it realizes it now meets a worthy opponent.
I'll spin around over here real quick.
Okay.
My back up against this rock.
I'm going to see if this recharges. It does. That's a 6. I need a Constitution saving throw from you, Trinsic.
All right. Here goes. That is a 5.
13 psychic damage, and you are stunned as the Doomsayer again speaks doom. The crack in the boulder behind you widens, and the massive rock splits down the middle. You fall back against it with the wave of this energy. How you looking?
I'm still on my feet, but
Impressive.
yeah, I can't take another one of those, that's for sure.
All right. Back up top of the initiative. You are stunned.
So is it a forceful? Does it hit me against the rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're sort of
back there.
thrown backwards, yeah.
Stunned. Copy.
This thing bears down on you. You're in the unfortunate position of being completely aware of its presence, but unable to clear your mind enough to move to defend yourself. Hit. Miss. It's going to be 7 slashing damage.
Okay. I will drop to one knee. Stunned. Still not registering exactly what's happening.
This thing sneers. It takes a moment to enjoy what is happening. Putrid breath leaks from its mouth. And it says, almost mockingly, "Get up, Ranger. Stand up." Mimicking your voice. It is now your turn, Trinsic.
Save.
You are unstunned now.
Oh, unstunned, okay. One last effort. Oh, that won't hurt. Last attack, probably.
Come on.
I'm going to try to launch from the ground and just drive up and attack as hard as I can. Whoop. 15.
That hits. Reliable old 15. That's what you need.
That's 3 10s I've rolled. So
Awesome.
all right. Damage is. Oh wait. 13.
Decent. Again, a good blow on this thing.
But I'm staggered. I'm just about to fall over. That was probably all I had. And I'm just going to try to, some kind of a feeble defense, utter another elvish curse, long string. My ancestors will avenge me. I have many.
The Doomsayer swipes at you. One claw comes overhead. You manage to dodge it. weakly moving aside. Whoosh, the second claw comes in and strikes for 8 damage.
I will fall backwards, half into the water, unconscious. I am at 0 0. Tonfas go flying to the side. I try to open my eyes. There's just nothing left. Pouch spills open on my my belt from where the final attack hit, and there's a little copper nugget spills out into the water, gets lost. My crossbow gently lays up over my shoulder, and I will breathe probably my last ones.
The Doomsayer stands over you. It notes the hunk of copper with interest and then turns to you, seeing that you're still breathing. It grabs your leg and drags you. You're vaguely aware of this. You're coming in and out of consciousness. It props you up against the boulder, leans over you. My ancestors will avenge me. I have many, it says. And then it begins to devour you.
Good.
Night falls on this crater, lit now only by the sickly green glow of a gem laying on the ground. The Doomsayer stands, blood dripping from its maw. It ate well today. It feels strong. It feels renewed. It bends down. In one hand, it picks up a chunk of copper. In the other, the gem from the Titan's sword. It flinches a bit as the lightning crackles through its body, but it resists. It peers at both the hunk of copper and the gem, and a sneer comes across its face as it thinks about just how pleased the dismembered lord will be with its bounty. And then it disappears into the night. And that is where we will end our session.
Nice.
I was hoping I would
Excellent.
legit TPK you guys with this thing.
For your first Dragongrin game.
First Dragongrin game is a TPK.
That's how it should be. Set it up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, so this creature it's called a Doomsayer, and it is a creature that exists in Dragongrin. It is one of the Dismembered Lord's many servants, but they're known as ferocious, savage beasts. They can mimic voices and sounds that they hear, and they literally speak doom. This was a lesser Doomsayer. The big ones can level buildings with their shouts. So you'll be finding stats for these guys and more lore about them in A Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin, which you can back right now on Kickstarter. I want to thank my players for joining me on this game. This was a lot of fun to run. I'm definitely going to run some more games in Dragongrin. I had a great time, and I'm going to throw it over to these guys. They can do their outros, and then we're probably going to call it a night. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and let's go ahead and do it in opposite order. We'll start with Tim.
Matt, that was incredible. That was the first Dragongrin game that I've played in since James ran Ironheart of Ennis campaign years ago. And so the campaign has come a long way. The setting has come a long way. And I'm really, really excited to get this book out there. So thank you, because you ran it in a way that felt entirely like Dragongrin, but it felt like your Dragongrin. And I loved that. And that's the kind of book that we're writing. So if you are watching this and you're on the fence, just check out the link. And we genuinely believe that we're going to put out an awesome campaign setting guide, and we want to see what your Dragongrin looks like. So Matt, thank you so much for running this awesome game.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for creating Dragongrin, which is just a really fun, awful sandbox to play in. Just it's a terrible world to live in, but it's so fun to run. So Jim, go ahead, man.
Again, thanks very much for the invite and allowing me to play. You guys ever need another pickup player, give me a call, let me know. I'm always willing. Always willing. Yeah, like I said, I write for Geek Sundry, Nerdist, best geek websites on the internet. You guys need to come in and read all our material. We've got tons of D&D stuff, board games, just everything that geek gaming content that you want. Especially read my articles. I write them for a reason, and that's it. Yeah, and join Team Alpha. Come over at Geek and Sundry Project Alpha. It's a subscription-based, but we've got a lot of exclusive content. And during Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights, you'll find me in one of the chat rooms doing a moderation. Come in and chat with me. We'll talk about games, everything that we need. You can find me on Twitter at Jim Moreno. Find me on Facebook. I'm a member of the AbTab and Tabletop groups. I'm also on Instagram, where I share a lot of gaming pictures and things. So just search for my name, you'll find me out there. And stop by, say hi, talk games, ask questions, whatever you guys want. I'm always up for it. But yeah, thanks for the game. Especially looking forward to it. And I certainly wasn't expecting a creature with a weirding module, in D&D. So that caught me off guard just a bit. But not next time.
Yeah. Jim, it was awesome to have you, man. And I can't wait to roll some dice with you again someday. And I also just noticed your amazing Critical Role shirt. And now I need that shirt. That is so cool.
This is one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever owned.
Dude. Yeah.
It is awesome.
That looks great. All right, Barker, go ahead, man.
I'll tell you what, every time I play in Dragongrin, it feels more like Dragongrin. And this was, I think, the time where I was like, all right, guys, it's ready for a book. I just felt a little weird, but it's like, so, hey, if you're interested, there's a Kickstarter going on where you can back a Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin. We're ready for it now. I love that it was a TPK, Matt, for your first session. Jim, this was awesome. Your experience in Dungeons and Dragons is clear. It is fun to be able to work as a team in very almost efficient and synergistic ways. And this whole group, it felt like that the whole time. I loved being able to face off against a Doomsayer. I love the idea that Doomsayers in their full power can destroy epic towns and villages. Listen, Dragongrin's my thing. I love it so much. Thanks for running the game, Matt. Thanks for playing in it, Tim and Jim, of course. And everyone, thanks for watching. I cannot wait till the next one already.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Jim, Barker, Tim, thanks for playing. And we'll be back again. Actually, real quick, tomorrow on Captain Gothnog's YouTube channel, Barker and I are playing in a Call of Cthulhu game. Same time, 6 o'clock Pacific time. I haven't played Call of Cthulhu in a couple years. I'm really looking forward to it. And then next Wednesday is our second session of our Harbinger campaign. So if you like science fantasy type stuff, definitely check that out. That'll be on this channel, same time, 6 o'clock Pacific time. So thanks everyone for stopping by. As always, take care and happy gaming all.
Yep.